4 episodes in, there is no hope for the Acolyte. No loud minority, but the overwhelming majority of what remains of the Star Wars fanbase has turned on the series, mocking and ridiculing it for the frankly ridiculous plot contrivances on display. Not being able to accept this though, the powers that be at Lucasfilm not only dismiss any and all criticism as bigotry, they even promise to double down on everything fans don't like about the Acolyte going forward. As per usual, the powers that be at Disney and Lucasfilm has primed their cast in advance to expect bigotry and lots of it, for simply existing in the Star Wars space, or whatever buzzwords were used, which is patently untrue. Case in point, we can all see the public comments everyone are making on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and more. And apart from a diminishingly small number of trolls, or for all we know, planted comments, as the need for actual Rossicism by far outweighs the supply. There was no legitimate bigotry to be found anywhere, and no hate towards anyone in the cast. The only thing that is publicly visible anywhere is legit criticism, as well as a fair bit of mockery and ridicule of an extremely poorly written and conceived show that objectively deserves every last bit of it. So unless the cast has privately received tons of an altogether different kind of feedback, without providing any receipts as proof that they did, then this entirely legit criticism is what they've framed as bigotry. Hence, no one has seen any evidence of this alleged intolerable racism which allegedly motivated the disstrack that Amandla Stenberg put out against fans. And I say allegedly motivated, because I am of the opinion that a far more plausible motivation is that her management decided that capitalizing on her alleged victimization at the hands of horrible Rossicists is the way to grow both her standing in Hollywood and her social media following. And of course, Disney marketing gleefully signed off on it, as a diss track is so much better than having Ewan McGregor or someone do another car video like they made him do. So, if Amandla Stenberg suddenly starts popping up at next year's Met Gala and other luxurious events for our betters, this song and all the fiction contained within its lyrics would be the chief reason why. I won't play the song itself here, of course, as Team Disney and Stenberg are copyright striking anyone who provides fair use commentary on it. But suffice to say, just like almost every other pop song of today, it wouldn't have been accepted by the music industry 20 plus years ago when standards still existed. I mean, there's a reason why most music festivals around the world still have the same headliners today as 20 and even 30 years ago. But the sad state of the music industry aside, let's move on to Lesli Headland coping with the negative reception. According to Leslye Headland, the only problem with the Acolyte is that fans are watching it wrong and not getting it. That is the summary of the June 20th spin piece in The Hollywood Reporter, titled "The Acolyte creator doesn't believe her new series is queer with a capital Q." Implication being, it's only queer with a small q, so fans really should be flocking to it and embracing it. Perhaps not helping with this read though, the story proper says about the cast. Stenberg, who identifies as non-binary and gay, is joined by Russian Doll's Charlie Barnett, who said he came out as gay at age 13 as the fastidious Jedi Knight Jord Fandar, and Barnett is actually one of 2 Russian Doll actors to play a Jedi on the Acolyte, as Headland's wife, Rebecca Henderson, plays Jedi Master Venestra Rowe from the Star Wars The High Republic multimedia project. Headland married Henderson in 2016. So, quite heavy on representation there. Moving forward a bit. However, as someone who generally pushes back on the notion that queer artists are capable of creating only queer or queer-coded art, Headland remains perplexed by a recent viral moment from her show's LA Junket. A journalist posited to her and Stenberg that The Acolyte is arguably the gayest Star Wars by a considerable margin. The writer, director and her star had fun with the line of inquiry, but now that the exchange has generated a bevy of responses. Or more accurately, this is my injection, fans can see that it was absolutely on point. The question of what makes a piece of mass entertainment gay is one this queer artist continues to ponder in earnest. I was surprised by the question. Amandla and I just burst out laughing because that's our knee-jerk reaction to being asked that. But to be honest, I don't know what the term gay means in that sense, admits Headland, adding, I don't believe that I've created queer, with a capital Q, content. You know, this answer gives me flashbacks to the South Park episode Cherokee Hair Tampons from many seasons ago, back when Mr. Garrison was still in the closet. And to prove to the world how not gay he was going to write the hottest and straightest erotic novel there ever was. Yet the final result turned out to be, and I quote, the best homoerotic novel since Huckleberry Finn. Let's move on to the Coven of Witches, which queer publication Them magazine proudly dubbed Lesbian Space Witches, and how Leslie feels that fans have read them in particular wrong, saying about them, they're in a matriarchal society. As a gay woman, I knew it would read that their sexuality is queer, but there also aren't many men in their community, she explains. So a closeness between the two of them would be natural. It seemed plot-driven. She adds, I would say it's really reductive to call them lesbians, even though they blatantly are. I think it means you're not really paying attention to this story. No, we are, and so was Them magazine, perhaps more than you. Anyway, she concludes by saying, honestly, I feel sad that people would think that if something were gay, then that would be bad, Headland says. It makes me feel sad that a bunch of people on the internet would somehow dismantle what I consider to be the most important piece of art that I've ever made. Which, again, tells me that Lesli Headland's sensibilities were such that she maybe wasn't the best fit for a property like Star Wars in the first place. Someone else not a fit for Star Wars is Pakistani-born female rights and empowerment activist Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, somehow the director of the upcoming Rey movie, who has promised to double down on the messaging. Fresh off the documentary Diane von Furstenberg, Woman in Charge, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy spoke out in Variety and reaffirming that Star Wars is a female brand now. The writer of the piece wrote, she will direct a Star Wars film centered on Rey Palpatine as she leads the Jedi Academy. When I ask Obaid-Chinoy what attracted her to the project, she approaches the question like I'm guiding her toward the Sarlacc pit. The story that interests me most is in Rey's journey as a female Jedi, Obaid-Chinoy says. As if we've never seen that before, but she continues, that's how I can best bring my experiences to it. But again, like Lesli Headland, while her experiences may be great for a certain brand of documentaries, there's nothing really applicable to Star Wars about them. Fans have pointed this out too, and addressing the fan skepticism, she said, the greatest thing about Star Wars is that everyone has a personal connection to it. Everyone is passionate about it. And throughout the fandom, people have clear ideas of who should direct or what the stories should be about. I'm just drowning out those voices until I'm done. As a storyteller, I'm focused on drawing new moviegoers into the cinema and bringing a sense of nostalgia that will appeal to older fans of the series. Right, allow me to translate. Her focus is on bringing in modern audiences, but there will also be some throwaway nostalgia bait to satisfy the older fans. This is almost word for word the same thing that Leslye Headland said prior to the Acolyte being released. And now we know that her big idea to please the older fans were repeating some famous lines and bringing in Ki Adi Mundi in a manner which wrecked canon and continuity with episode 1. Yet that same general approach is what fans were just promised for the upcoming Rey movie. Good times. But do you think we will indeed get that Rey movie? Or is Bob Iger smart enough to realize that he'll just be responsible for flushing billions more in shareholder value down the drain if he allows Kathleen Kennedy to proceed with it? Let me know in the comments.